Hi, fourth grade, Ms. Kachabata here. So this is a video for week 4, day 1, and I'm just going to go ahead and go through it. I'm using a new video recording, so hopefully, this one works as well as what I was doing before. I was having some problems before, so I'm trying this one. Okay, so week 4, day 1. Our learning target is I can decompose fractions as a sum of unit fractions using tape diagrams. So we've already learned this lesson actually before school got out. We had already started module 5 and started fractions. So this may be a review for you. And what I want you to notice about the packets for this week and next week, week 4 and 5, is that it's going to include some pages that are just lessons and examples, okay? So it's not you completing every single page. Some of the pages are actually just going to be some little like think bubbles where it's explaining how to solve each problems, okay? So you can see that right here where it is explaining what a fraction is. So it's saying a unit fraction can be defined as a fraction whose numerator is 1. All the equal parts of it represents one shaded part of all the equal parts of the whole. So any fraction where the numerator is 1, like 1/2, 1/4, that's called a unit fraction. Okay, that's what it's talking about right here. Okay, so you're going to see little bubbles like that explain some things. So in this daily warm-up, it says, I see that it has a tape diagram, and the whole thing is 10 right here, right? So it's saying my total is 10. So now it's asking me what number goes into each part, okay? So if we know that the total is 10 and there are 2 units, we know that each part is going to be 5 and 5, right? So what number goes into each part? 5 is going to go into each part. And now we're going to use the diagram to complete the activity below. So we want to write an addition sentence that can represent this tape diagram, all right? So I know that we can say 5 plus 5 equals 10. And that's my addition sentence. I also know that we can write a multiplication sentence because I have 2 units of 5. So I can say 5 times 2 equals 10. Or you could have written 2 times 5 equals 10. Okay? Then write a division sentence, same thing, using that multiplication to help us. I can know that I can say 10 divided by 2 equals 5, or I can say 10 divided by 5 equals 2. Okay? So, let's see, going down to the next part. All right, it says new learning. So it says draw a number bond and write the number sentence to match each tape diagram. So this is an example of where they already gave us the example, right? This was just an example. So they're saying the rectangle represents one whole and is partitioned into 4 equal units. Each unit is equal to 1/4. So I can see that this shows 3/4 total. There's my total right there. And they broke it up into 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. They also made a number bond right here, which we also learned before school got out, where you put the total up top, 3/4, and then it's partitioned into 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4. All right, so again, that's just an example of the new learning that it's doing, okay? Okay, so on the second page, this is part of that new learning page, so this is just going to be an entire page of it explaining the lesson to you, right? So you would think of this as if I wrote out my lesson plans for you so that you could understand what I would be saying to you in front of the classroom, it's kind of like that. Okay, so for example, I want you to look, I want you to look right here. So like start at the top. So right here it's saying, I can rename a fraction greater than 1, such as 10/8, as a whole number and a fraction 1 and 2/8. Okay, so it's starting to talk about fractions that are greater than 1 now, right? So a fraction is greater than 1 when the numerator, the number on top, is greater than the denominator, the number on the bottom, right? So 10 is greater than 8, so 10/8 is a fraction greater than 1, okay? So it's showing you here on this tape diagram that there is the one whole is right here. And if I count how many units are in the one whole, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know that 8 is going to be my denominator, right? But then when I ask myself, how many eighths do I have? I can see that I still have 2 more, 9, 10. I have 10 eighths. And then I noticed that they bracketed them together by saying 3 eighths here, and then they bracketed together 2 eighths, and they bracketed together 2 eighths, and then 1 eighth, and then 2 eighths, right? Remember, before we left school, we learned that we can take a fraction and we can break it up any way we want. So this is the way that they decided to break it up. Okay, so it's saying, I know the fractional unit is eighths. There are 8 pieces in the one whole. So there are 8 equal units bracketed as one whole. Okay, now it's saying, okay, draw and label a tape diagram to match each number sentence. So now it's going to show you here how they have drawn tape diagrams to match the number sentence. All right, so again, right here on A, they took 11/6. So they're saying, okay, I know that there are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units under the one whole bracket, right here. But then I know that I need to have 11 total, so they added some more in order to have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 units altogether. Then they bracketed them together to match the number sentence that is right here. They bracketed 3 6, and then they put plus 2 6, plus 2 more 6, and then plus 4 6, because they had to bracket it so that it matched the number sentence. All right, and the same thing here. 1 and 2 twelfths. Well, I know that 1 and 2 twelfths, all right, I'm going to think, how many twelfths? I know that I'm going to have one whole and I'm going to have 12 in them, right? 12 units. But I can see from this numerator that I'm going to have 2 more twelfths after the 12 pieces, right? So I'm actually going to have 14 twelfths. And then I'm going to bracket them into 7 twelfths, and then 4 twelfths, and then 3 twelfths, okay, to match that number sentence. Okay? So again, this is all just like a lesson. All right, now it says draw and shade a tape diagram of the given fraction. All right, so then it says record the decomposition as a sum of unit fractions, and then record the decomposition of the fraction in 2 more ways. So we started with our fraction 4 eighths, right? So they represented that here, 4 pieces shaded in, 8 total pieces, and they labeled their whole one, okay? Then they had to record it as a sum of unit fractions. So remember, a unit fraction has 1 at the top, so they could only use 1/8. So they had to say 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8. And then they said to record it 2 more ways. So it doesn't have to be a unit fraction anymore. So they recorded it in this way and in this way, which all add up to 4 eighths. Okay? So that's a page for you to do your learning, all right? It's kind of like teaching yourself right now, which I know is kind of annoying, or can be kind of hard for some people. Okay, so, okay, going on to the next page. Again, it's the last part of that learning, so same thing, it had 8/5. It put 5 pieces in the one whole, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then it added 3 more because it's 8/5, 1, 2, 3. All right, and so they said 8/5 is a fraction greater than 1, right? Remember, you know it's a fraction greater than 1 if your numerator is bigger than your denominator, all right? So in 8/5, I know that 8 is bigger than 5, which means this fraction is going to be more than 1, okay? So then it said it wanted you to draw and shade it in, so they did that. Then you have to record the decomposition of the fraction in 3 different ways, all right? So they did that in 1, 2, and 3 different ways. Again, this is a lesson that we did right before we got out of school. Okay, so now you're going to go down to the let's try section. You're going to actually be solving these problems. All right, and on the other days, I'm not going to go through the whole lesson necessarily because I just want to go over the let's try part. But I wanted to make sure to explain today what you're actually going to be seeing on these packets, which is that page of lessons, basically. All right, so it says draw a number bond and write the number sentence to match each tape diagram. So I see that we have one whole, here, all right? So I'm going to say, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 units are in the 1 whole. So that means my denominator is going to be 5, okay? So then I have one more though. So I know that that means there are 6/5 here, right? And I can see that because they actually gave that to me right here as the total, 6/5, okay? So then I have to label each part of the tape diagram. So I want to say, okay, how many did they bracket right here together? They bracketed 2/5 together, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing here. They bracketed another 2/5 together. And then here they bracketed another 2/5 together. And so they decomposed this saying 6/5 is equal to 2/5 plus 2/5 plus 2/5. Okay? And then they're going to put that into a number bond, just like we've done. So we're going to say, remember, 6/5, our total goes in the big circle. And then we're just going to record each part that we broke it up into. So 2/5 and 2/5 and 2/5. And I know that that all equals up to 6/5. Okay? So it asked how many parts has the whole been partitioned into. All right, the whole has been partitioned into 5 parts, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is inside this 1 whole. All right, so each shaded part represents 1/5. Okay, and then it asked what does the whole shaded part represent, which is 6/5, and they wrote that in word form and standard form. Okay. All right, going on to that next page of the let's try section, it says draw and label a tape diagram to match the sentence. So it says 4/5 plus 1/5 plus 2/5. Wait, I'm sorry, 4/5 equals 1/5 plus 2/5 plus 1/5. Okay. So I can see that they took this tape diagram and they made it represent 4/5 by shading in 4 pieces out of 5, and they bracketed all 5 pieces into 1 whole. Okay, so over here it says how many parts do I need to make a whole? 5, right? 5 of the parts equals 1 whole. And then how many parts should I shade to represent the total amount? 4 out of 5, because that equals 4/5. Okay, how can I partition the parts to show the addition sentence? So it says draw brackets to break the total into its parts. So it started with 1/5, so that means I'm just going to bracket one of these and write 1/5. Okay, then up here it says 2/5 came next, so I'm going to take 2 units and bracket them together and write 2/5. And then I see 1/5 is next again, so I'm going to take this last one and bracket it and write 1/5. All right, so now we did this part. We drew brackets to break the total into parts. Okay. All right, so now we are on our problem set, and it says draw a number bond and write the number sentence to match each tape diagram. The first one is done for you. So this is basically your example. Okay, so this is kind of like when I do an I do, it would be like that. This is an example, or like at the top of your problem set book. Okay, so you can use this to help you if you get confused. All right, so now we are on your problem set. So we need to label these tape diagrams, okay, and then draw a number bond, okay, because that's what the directions said on the last page. So we're going to look here. I'm going to say, okay, I see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total pieces, all right, and I can see that they shaded in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so this tape diagram is representing the fraction 6/8. All right, so now I need to label the tape diagrams of how they decomposed it, and then I need to draw a number bond to match. So I can see that here they bracketed 2/8. All right, here they bracketed 2 more eighths, and then they bracketed 2 more eighths. So they said 2/8 plus 2/8 plus 2/8 equals 6/8. All right, and now I'm going to draw a number bond Okay. And I'm going to write 6/8 in there because that's my total. And then I'm going to record each decomposition as a part. So I had 2/8 as one part, and then I had 2/8 as another part, and then I had 2/8 as another part. Okay. All right, looking at the next one, I can see that inside the one whole, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So I know that my denominator is going to be 4, because that's how many units are inside the one whole. But I see that they have shaded in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So this tape diagram is representing the fraction 5/4. Okay? So now I'm going to label what they bracketed together. So here they bracketed 3 units together, so they bracketed 3/4. And then they bracketed 1/4 right here, and then they bracketed another 4th right here. So 3/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is equal to 5/4. And again, I'm going to draw that number bond, and I'm going to put my total 5/4 in the big circle. Okay. Then I'm going to make the parts that they decompose. So I'm going to make a part for 3/4. And then I'm going to make a part for 1/4. And I'll make another part for 1/4. And that equals 5/4. Okay? Feel free to pause here if you need more time. All right, now it says draw and label the tape diagrams to model each decomposition. Okay, so the first problem they gave me is 1 whole equals 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6. All right, so if it's 1 whole, I'm going to draw a tape diagram, all right? And I can see that my denominator is 6, which tells me this tape diagram is going to have 6 equal pieces. Okay? And they said the whole thing is labeled as 1 whole. All right? And now I know that I'm going to shade in all of them because it says 1 whole. So that means all of them are going to be shaded in. This tape diagram needs to show 1 whole. All right? And now I'm going to label this to model the decomposition they gave me. So they bracketed each one individually. So I'm going to have 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6. Okay? And that together is going to give me 6/6, which is the same as 1 whole. Okay? All right, on the next one, they said 7/8. All right, so again, I'm going to draw a tape diagram. I'm going to split it into 8 pieces because 8 is my denominator. All right. I'm going to take these 4 and then split them up. All right, 8 pieces. And I know that I'm going to label this as 1 whole. Okay. And then I'm going to shade in 7 because 7/8 is my fraction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now I'm going to decompose these to represent their decomposition. So I'm going to bracket 3 together first to show 3/8. Then I'm going to bracket 3 more together to show 3/8. And then I'm going to bracket this last one to show 1/8. So 3/8 plus 3/8 plus 1/8 is 7/8. All right. And that is all for today. So once you finish that, you are done with your math for today. If you have access to technology, you can complete Zern lessons, you can complete Prodigy problems, and if you would like me to set you on a specific topic for Zern, just let me know and I can change your lesson for you. All right? So I will see you guys tomorrow, and please reach out to me if you have any questions. All right, bye.